Hey everybody, welcome to another comic book review. In this video, I'll be covering the first compendium edition of Bill Willingham's Fables. So, this volume is the first of four just massive compendium editions that collect the original run of Bill Willingham's acclaimed Fables series. So the premise of this series is it's set in this fictional community in New York City. They call it Fabletown. And it's basically where a bunch of famous fairy tale characters live because they were exiled from their homelands by a villain known only as the Adversary. So basically they vacate to Fabletown in New York City, and they have what's called glamour, which allows them to pass as human. And the fables that aren't able to pass as fully human live in an upstate New York community called the Farm. And that's where all the non-human looking fables go. And so between these two fairy tale character communities in New York, you have all these different characters just kind of living out their lives and figuring out how to adjust to life away from their homelands and just kind of life in exile. And it starts off as sort of a, not so much a murder mystery per se, but just a really stylish detective noir kind of story. And the big bad wolf, they call him Bigby, he's the sheriff of Fabletown. And so he's investigating the disappearance of Rose Red, Snow White's sister. And so you have all this stuff going on, and that kind of sets off the main series. And then, as more new characters are introduced and different concepts are introduced, things happen, and you just get an extensive look at the lore of this universe, and you get to see kind of how the world works for all the Fable characters, and you get to learn a little bit about their history, and this thing is just massive. And this is the first of four volumes that collect the entirety of the series. This collects issues 1 through 41, and then some other stories that are essential for understanding the lore of Fables. So the first 41 issues plus some extra stuff, one-shots and things of that nature, this gives you a good look at what you're going to be getting into for the rest of the series. But even with such a massive book as this, this thing is huge, and this doesn't even cover really a whole lot at all of what the series eventually is going to get into. So this just kind of I don't know. I really liked a lot of things about this first compendium. For one, some other compendiums that I've read, I've noticed that the binding is not great. I had not a single issue with the binding of this book. It holds up really well, so that's always a plus. Normally, I'm kind of hesitant about buying huge editions of certain comics, because sometimes with really big books, the binding tends to kind of fall apart. That's not the case with this, at least for this specific copy of it that I have. I didn't experience any binding issues whatsoever. The art is beautiful for the most part. It's handled by a number of different people, but primarily Most of it is handled by Mark Buckingham, and he does an absolutely wonderful job of kind of bringing these fable characters to life and making them just feel very like real almost in a sense. I feel like he brings a lot of character to their physical appearances. I feel like he brings a lot of like fun and emotion just by like the way that each of the characters looks. The expressions that he's able to draw are really, really fun to look at. This whole book is just beautiful to look at. From a writing standpoint, Bill Willingham, very much like similar to what Neil Gaiman did for Sandman, he takes a multitude of different characters and gives them each a very highly detailed backstory, and he presents a story that is incredibly multi-layered, and a story that has many different subplots and things that you have to keep track of. It's a series that I'm starting to notice really rewards careful attention, very similar to the way Sandman does, because Sandman is one of those series that it just feels huge. Like all of the characters in Sandman have all their own backstories, and you know they come back to them over time, and you know you learn things very slowly, but yet it always moves at a pace that keeps me interested. And it's the same thing with Fables. Fables is very much along those lines, where it introduces just endless amounts of lore with characters and locations and certain historical events that happened in the Fable community, and it really adds so much depth, and there's just so much to unpack like with all of this, and I love it. I love how there isn't really, or at least there doesn't seem to be like one specific main character thus far, because like every segment in this particular volume, it jumps around from different characters' perspectives, and like a lot of the characters kind of like jump into very crucial roles throughout. And so it's kind of hard to name just one character as the main character. I mean, sure, there are standouts, but it's difficult to name just like one character as the main character, which I think is awesome. I think it's cool whenever a writer is able to pull that off well and have it really work. The other thing I really think is worth mentioning here is, especially later on in this volume, this compendium rather, if you pay attention to the tops of the pages, there's like these little symbols that'll appear in the tops of the pages, and they kind of change as they go on. So like depending on like what's going on or whose perspective the story is being told from, these symbols at the top of the pages will change. And you know, it kind of gives like little context clues. And at first I wasn't paying much attention to them, but they can be a lot of fun. Like once you get used to them, and like once you know to look for them whenever they do appear, they add a lot. And it's good fun. And I think it's really cool the way that the tops and the bottoms of the pages are utilized in that way. I think it's really dope. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Fables Compendium 1 by Bill Willingham. Look forward to more reviews in the future. I'll be covering all of the compendiums in Willingham's Fables series. Thank you as always for watching, and have a wonderful day.